Welcome back, everyone. So as we've been telling you, jury selection begins in the murder trial of 3 men accused of running down and killing Ahmaud Arbery. Travis McMichael, his father Gregory, and William Roddy Bryan are all charged with murder. 1,000 potential jurors were summoned, and 600 will report to the courthouse this morning. Joining me now to unpack this whole ordeal, Page Pate. Thank you so much. Not affiliated with the case, but you've been kind of walking us through this, especially over the weekend as well. So my first question to you, you have this large pool of potential jurors. 600 will be there today. The next 400 could potentially be called in the next Monday. Is there any way that they'll run through that many and even get to the second phase?
I don't think so. I think in a case like this, you certainly want to bring in more people than you're going to need. But 600 is a lot of folks. And even though I expect most of them, if not all of them, will have heard about the case, I still think you can find 12 people plus 4 alternates who have not made up their mind yet. So we may not get to day 2 of bringing in people. The first 600 may do it.
Yeah, and let me ask you about that, because that was my next question. I don't know how you're going to find anybody who, like you said, hasn't heard about this case. You have 12 jurors, you have the 4 alternates. So really, what are you looking for? Because you also have defendants who were very known in this community.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it is a small town, and those folks have lived here for a long time. And so they're going to know people, and people are going to know them. What I think the judge is going to try to do here is, first of all, find out who's heard about the case, what have you heard about it, but most critically, have you made up your mind? Are you prejudiced for one side or the other? Are you leaning a little bit towards the prosecution or the defense? Because ultimately, that's the test. It's not a question of whether you've heard about the case. It's a question of whether you've made up your mind already. So if the judge can find people who will at least say they're still unbiased, then that's going to be the start.
Yeah, and say it and then really mean it. That'll be a whole nother discussion. But let's put yourself in the role of the prosecutor. What do you look for as far as the defense attorney? What do you look for as far as the prosecutor when you're looking through the selection process, trying to make those choices?
Well, what's interesting about a case like this is you really flip the script. I've tried cases where I've represented former law enforcement officers, and normally a criminal defense lawyer, you're looking for people with an open mind, who are not always very conservative, who are not pro-law enforcement. But in a case like this, if you're representing the McMichaels and Mr. Bryant, you are looking for law enforcement types. You are looking for conservative jurors. You are looking for people that will give them the benefit of the doubt. That's the opposite of what you're normally trying to do. And on the prosecution side, you're just looking for people who don't know these folks, who aren't related to either people they know, tied in with their community organizations. And those tentacles go pretty deep in a small community. So as a prosecution lawyer, I'm trying to find people who have no connection to these folks whatsoever. And that's going to be difficult.
It is. We're going to watch all this unfold. Let me ask you this. I mean, I hate to believe this, but you truly believe that this case is going to be either won or lost during this jury selection, no matter what happens over the next few weeks?
Absolutely. This case is pretty clear cut as far as what the evidence is. I mean, most of us have seen the video. We understand what the arguments are. The defense is really a legal defense. Were these people making a citizen's arrest, which is now not lawful under Georgia law, but back then was, or were they not? Were they out to kill Mr. Arbery? Did they have racial prejudice? So the facts are not going to be mysterious. It's not going to be figuring out what happened. We already know what happened. So it's going to be a question of what sort of mind frame you bring into the jury room. What do you think about this situation? Who do you tend to side with? Picking the people that are going to hear this case is absolutely critical to determining whether these folks are convicted or not. In that way, it's a lot like the George Zimmerman case when Trayvon Martin was shot. It was critical to pick potential jurors to serve on the case who more or less saw the case the way that George Zimmerman did. And I think that's why ultimately he was found not guilty.
All right, Paige, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure we'll be checking in with you over the next few weeks. So we have a host of